prediction of the Grand Waterloo scenario from Napoleon's last battles, the 1998 edition. For those who didn't see the previous video, this is a very light treatment of Waterloo, in effect. There's Wavre out to the far right. It is... I am using just the basic... This is the focus battle scenario. I'm not using the campaign rules. I'm not using any optional rules. So it's a very light treatment. Very fast playing, good introductory game. And I am several turns in. 1, 2, 3, 4, I'm to the 5th turn. And we are at the... I think we're at the Allied Prussian reaction now. So start of the Prussian turn, the Anglo-Allied Prussian turn, and this is where the difficult situation is in here. Now, as I said before, so the French need, there's two ways the French can win. They can demoralize both the Prussians and this Anglo-Allied force. If they demoralize, so if both of these armies, the Anglo-Allied force here and the Prussian force out in the east, if they reach their demoralization limits, the French win. If both of those forces do that, the French win. The other way the French can win is if they disintegrate this Anglo-Allied force here. They can ignore the Prussians and disintegrate this force. That means they have to... How does demoralization and disintegration work? Basically by these armies suffering losses in combat. So at present, this Anglo-Allied force has suffered 34 strength factors of losses. They will demoralize if they reach 55. So they're 21 away from demoralizing. They are 31 away from disintegrating. Now the French strategy, to win the game, the French have pursued this focus on Waterloo strategy. They're basically ignoring the Prussians out in the east and are focusing pretty much all their effort across the battlefield on disintegrating this force, which means getting them to 65 strength point losses. They are just, what did I say, they're on 34? So they're just over halfway. And we're pretty much at the halfway point of the scenario. The problem for the Anglo-Allied forces is that you can see the French have kind of started to pin them in from the sides. To achieve this Waterloo-only strategy, the French focused on ignoring the chateau. Focus on ignoring them, basically. That's in their strategy. The chateaus in this game, I've covered this in previous videos, the chateaus are horrific. It's very, very hard. It's a grind for the French to try to push through those. Chances are they'll eventually capture them, but at great, great losses. So the French strategy has been to push further to the right, through Fishermont and Papelotte, and then further to the left. And then, once they've kind of come around the flanks, pushing those flanks, drive north along the flanks, and what they've done over the last turn is suddenly shifting and begin to push from the sides. Okay, so that's been the French strategy. And I've focused a lot of the discussion on what the French can do, because the French really have the initiative here. The French... the victory conditions are about what the French do. The French need to disintegrate this Allied army to win the game. What about the Allies? What about the Anglo-Allied and Prussian forces? How do they win? Well, they simply win by denying the French victory. If the French don't achieve either of those victory conditions, the Anglo-Allied force wins. So what does that mean for their strategy? Their strategy is focused on surviving, not dying, basically. And how do they do that? And what have I been doing? I haven't really spoken much about how the Anglo-Allied forces have been responding. First of all, trying to get the Prussians to Waterloo. And it's difficult to do that given the French have focused a lot of effort on containing those roads. Right, so there's no surprise element here. The French know that von Bülow's corps is heading west. The French know the Prussians are coming. And the French know that this is not Grouchy coming from the east. And so they can plan accordingly. And in any Waterloo game, this is kind of what... It's the biggest limitation to Waterloo games is that Napoleon knows the Prussians are coming and they can plan accordingly. And the French have planned very well accordingly in this playthrough. Keeping in mind this is a lightweight game, it's not a heavy simulation, but the French have done very well. You can see this massive cavalry screen along this area where von Bülow has been trying to push through. This is the Prussian corps coming from Wavre, and they've been unable to reach Waterloo. They are miles and miles away from Plassenois, which is where they struck historically. Now the French have been denied a lot of their cavalry out here. Yes, that's a disadvantage, but it means, and this is incidentally, this is cavalry from out at Wavre. They've shifted across to the west. It means that the Prussians have not interfered with the French closer to Waterloo. It means that the French have had the freedom to focus on this Anglo-Allied force without fear of, thus far, having being hit in the flank. Yet. Okay, so there's still 4.5 turns left, but the French feel safe pushing up on the Allied weak right flank without being hit by the Prussians. You probably wouldn't normally expect something like this. And again, this is partly because of the lightweight treatment of Waterloo and this French strategy out on the right. So the French ignored the chateau, pushing up on the left and on the right, and then pushing in, which is squeezing the Allies. The way the French inflict casualties, the way any side in fact inflicts casualties in this kind of game, this series of titles, is principally by surrounding the enemy with zones of control and forcing them to retreat. If an enemy force can't retreat, they are eliminated. And that's pretty much how for the most part, how most losses have been suffered. There are exchange results, there are defender eliminated results, but most of the time, there are a lot of DR results, defender retreat results. And that is how you'll inflict most casualties in this game. So that is what the French are now trying to do. They're trying to move in and surround these Allied forces in the front with those zones of control to then force the British and Allies to retreat and eliminate them. And that adds to their demoralisation and disintegration levels, gets them closer to defeat. Now I'm at a point right now where the Allies are kind of torn, and I'm trying to do my best as the Allies just to survive. As I said, they don't need to attack. They don't need to hurt the French. The French certainly have their demoralisation levels, but it's very tough for the Anglo-Allied force to hit that, to reach that. So basically, the Allied strategy has been surviving and trying not to let the French hit their levels. I've been trying to keep a reserve in the rear here. They now need to respond, basically. Now, first priority is moving against this flank here to prevent the French moving up in force. Second priority is to think about La Haye Saint and Hougoumont, and when to withdraw from that. And I'm honestly torn. Okay, so these are, as I said, this is the reason, the rules guiding the chateau are the reason the French have adopted this strategy. And all the British have to do, and Allied forces have to do, is hold those to keep their entire front stable. Okay, so things here are safe. If the guards try to move down here, they have to attack the chateau, and it's horrific. They move in here, they have to attack the chateau. So this basically, the positioning of these two chateaux deters French movement, and it has deterred French movement in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 hexes along that front. All right. That's why the French are hitting the flanks. But now that the French have moved up the flanks successfully and they've ignored those chateaux, is it now time to abandon this chateau and try to pull out with a view to surviving? I'm thinking in particular about Hougoumont. It is now all but surrounded. In fact, it is surrounded, so these guys won't be able to withdraw, because as soon as they hit an enemy zone of control, they're locked in. Those guys are locked into zone of control, so maybe I need to rethink this whole thing. Once zones of control lock forces in, so these guys are in the guards zone of control, they're locked down, they're locked down. They are not locked down, they are not locked down yet either. So I've got two options. I can pull right back and abandon these guys at the front, or I can try to fight back, and that's what I've been doing the last turn or two, and try and push back on these French flanks. And I think that's where British strategy needs to shift. British Anglo Allied strategy needs to shift. They need to start pushing back these French flanks. Problem is, it's tough because there are a lot of strong French forces out here. There are mandatory attacks. Wherever you're in a zone of control, you must attack. And the defenders can advance after combat if they win that combat. So it's not just a case of, alright, I'll move in and I'll block them. It's, if you move in, you must then attack. And if you fail that attack, the French can then advance into your hex, which may seem really quite unusual, but that's one of the quirks of this light system. So these guys up here are locked in combat. Maximum stacking is 2 per hex, so what we're going to get here is basically a 1-to-1 on these cavalry. I need something to soak off here, and this would be where I have artillery in that hex that can soak off the requirements to attack here, which frees up this cavalry. I've got a lot of strong British units now. That's a strong hex with a defense of 12, so I'd like to avoid that and soak that off if possible. So I need to get some artillery. There's some artillery. The Brunswick artillery can soak off the requirements to attack there, which means that maybe I have to attack here as well. Oh my goodness. I've got 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. I want to get a 5 strength unit. What I'm going to do is try and bring Adam out and go 1, 2, 3. And that's going to give me a 2-to-1 attack on there to try to push that back. Now I'd like to try to get, this is the risk, if I can only get a 1-to-1 attack on here, which I think is the best I can do, it's a 50% chance. Hey Eric, this is so Eric's table focuses a lot on the L'Hopital system, which is at the very complex end of the scale. Check out Eric's channel. This is at the very light end of the scale, and Eric, you'll probably be frustrated seeing what's going on here because it's very ahistorical and loose with the historical conditions. But check out Eric's table for how you can simulate Napoleonic warfare at the very complex end. This is, so Eric, I don't know if you've seen the other videos, what we're seeing here is a French sort of accidental double envelopment strategy. They were basically trying to avoid La Haye Saint Hougoumont by attacking on the flanks. It's succeeded, and now they've turned those flanks in and they're driving in to surround the Anglo-Allied front lines. So I'm going to use this artillery there to soak off that attack. I'm going to use this artillery here to soak off that attack. And what I want to do is get 10 factors, if I can. So I can get my cavalry, 1, 2, 3. I can get the infantry, 1, 2, 3. That'll give me 4-to-1, 3-to-1, sorry. I need one more here. Here we go. 1, 2. I'm not abandoning La Haye Saint. I'm going to occupy it with them. And I am going to pull back away from the front because, again, the chateaus are enough to deter that activity on the front. So these guys are going to pull back. Maitland's brigade. One. Actually, maybe we can get use these guys up here in the north. So Ponsonby has to attack here with a strength of 6. So I just need these 2 cavalry, for example, the Brunswickers. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. They'll hang about there. That gives me 1 to 1. I'm a bit worried about that. So if I can bring in Maitland 2 to 1. And that's probably the best I can do. Oh, actually. If I can bring in some more Brunswickers with that Adai's artillery to give me 3 to 1 in there, I think. That now leaves Bourgeois with currently 7. 8, 9, 10. I need 2 more factors. Where can I bring 2 more factors from? They're attacking there. They're attacking there. I feel like I'm in a bit of trouble here. I don't think I planned this very well. No, that'll be right. That'll be 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Yep, I didn't plan that very well. 1 to 1 on the guards here. Oh, that could be really bad. So I might send... Oh, okay. 21. I can get 3 to 1 on the guards, I think. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 21 on the guards, and then I'll try to get 2 to 1 on Jamin. Hey Paul, welcome. No, I've really just started the Anglo. I've been talking for about, 10 minutes now, just to provide a context to what's going on. Okay, so starting to pull back away. Actually, we'll throw Alton into La Haye. Again, leaders don't do anything. This is in the campaign game. The rules take a slight step up in complexity and thematic immersion. You have leaders. They have to have command. They have command radiuses, and they can activate independent units in range. All these kind of things. You have reorganization of lost units, and it adds a lot more to that sense of historicity. Again, this is a very quick and easy introductory light battle focused scenario. I would have loved to get another combat factor here, but I don't think I can. If they are being 4, 5, 6, 10, 16, 17, 18, I think I have spare artillery here. Do I have spare artillery? Alright, what I'd like to do is bring them around to 3 to give me 2 to 1 here. So because I have to attack, the British now are in a lot of trouble because they have to attack. Video is frozen. This happened yesterday. I'm just going to restart the camera. I'll keep the audio going. Just while I turn it off and turn it back on again. I can keep talking to you guys. Well, what can you see here? So I've moved where the tweezers are there. There is a 2-step cavalry. And I have moved them to the top right of this image. Excuse that sort of Ivy Cam information. So that they can attack where the green unit is, just south of there, that British unit. That'll give me at present I have 7 on 4 factors attacking there. I want to get at least 2 to 1, because at 1 to 1 odds, there is a 50% chance of suffering an attack or retreat. And in these circumstances, the British, those kind of attack or retreat results could really hurt. Alright, video is back. Let me just reconnect it. 5 seconds away. All right. Okay, so hopefully you can see that all okay. So yeah, I moved this artillery to here to support this attack here to give me 2 to 1s on there. The situation now, because the British have to, because they have to attack in so many places, these mandated attacks, they're in a position where they, at 1 to 1, there's a 50% chance they'll retreat, which will let the French move up, which they are trying to avoid. They're trying to, you've pretty much got every Anglo-Allied force. In fact, I can move them up and give me 3 to 1 attack, 3 to 1 odds, just 1 hex to the right. I'm worried about that cavalry. What can I do with cavalry moving to the rear? Not much, that's the problem. I don't have any other forces. I literally have no other Anglo-Allied forces available to stop these guys. But let me shift your attention. Yeah, this has only happened the last 2 days. So my camera's... I need a new camera. Okay, so if I can just shift your attention, you can see how close the Prussians are. 1, 2, 3, 4. In fact, yep. We're going to try to go around the flanks. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And maybe we'll try and smash through the centre as well. Now, I'm going to bring in, sorry, shifting your focus further to the right. Wavre doesn't matter. We're at a point where the French are just pulling away from Wavre, way out in the far right, because of this Waterloo focus strategy. Wavre means nothing to the French. It's interesting, but Grouchy has sent some of his cavalry out to the left. He's not. You could pursue this objective of trying to demoralise the French, the Prussians out there. That's one of the victory options, but we're not pursuing that. So what's going to happen instead is, and so the Prussians in response could try to demoralise the French, but it also doesn't. The French can just pull away. They've got a lot of room to pull away. So what I'm going to do is start trying to send Ziethen's corps towards Waterloo as well. Should have done this earlier. I really should have done this earlier. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4. So this is a decision I made kind of overnight. I thought about this. I'm like, yeah, these guys aren't... The French, you can see, the French just... They've kind of been threatening, but... not doing much. In fact, that's just off camera, sorry, that's just the situation around the bridges there. So I'm stretching out this core, trying to I guess put some pressure on this French cavalry. In game turns, sorry Eric, it is 4 PM. Yeah, Paul's right, 1600 hours. Okay, so, and again, I Look, Grouchy's corps has suffered 0 step losses. This is another reason why the Prussians don't care about Wavre anymore. I did push out last turn. I thought, right, time to take the battle to the French. And, I'm not going to bother, basically. There's not much they can do out there. So that brings us to the battle phase. And we've got a mandatory attack here. And I'm going to go 1 to... It's going to be doubled, basically. So 1 to 2. The defender is doubled across that stream. A 1 to 2, 5 is an attack or retreat result, which is fine. Because my main combat is here. And I've got 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 15 on 4. 3 to 1, they're not in any terrain. We're not exclusively across that stream, so 3 to 1, 1 is a DR result. 1, and I can advance with 1 unit into there. So, okay, great. We push the guards back 1 hex. We lock 2 French cavalry units in combat, but that's it. It's a grind, which yeah. Anyway, now we get to Waterloo. That's all the Prussians out there. They're trying to hook around. Yeah, maybe once this infantry up in the north kind of can, maybe they'll force something. They're almost linked with, if I can just get the camera up a little bit, they've almost linked up. Okay, combat everywhere, there's so much going on. And as I said, I won't even bother rolling. 1 to 3 soaks off that requirement. Artillery bombarding doesn't suffer any adverse combat results. We've got 1 to 1 here. No terrain features of note. 1 to 1, 4 is an attack or retreat. That's not what we want, because, as I said, a quirk of this system is the defender can advance, and the defenders will advance. Actually, they won't advance because they'll have the freedom of movement on the next turn. They can choose where they want to go. Okay. This artillery soaking off the requirements to attack here, which means I can get 10 on 5, 2 to 1 there. A 2 to 1, 4 is just a defender retreat result. And I could advance there, but I don't want to because that would really throw me in the mix of a lot of strong French units. Now attacking the guards, we've got, I think we had 21, 16, 17, 18, 22. 22 on 7, 3 to 1, no terrain. 3 to 1, 3 is a DR result. So we're forcing the guard. This is the plan, this is good. We can advance with 1 unit, and in this case I will advance to lock 2 of those French units in to combat here. So they will have to attack here next turn. Alright, so the plan is working for the Anglo-Allied forces out here. We now can shift our focus around here where we have 16, 17, 18. Oh, there's a ridge there. I completely forgot about the ridge. So we only have... I either get 2 to 1. That was a shame. I completely forgot about that ridge line blocking my line of sight for the artillery. I think we'll go 2 to 1 because 1 to 1 is dangerous. That will give me still a 3 to 1 here, I think. So 2 to 1 on Bonnie. 2 to 1, 4 is enough for a DR result. And now this is interesting. I will advance into this hex with... I'm just going to send in the cavalry because it's a risky place to be. And then we'll attack here, and this now surrounds them with zone of control. So 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 gives us 3 to 1 if we can force their retreat. 3 to 1, 2 we do. They're eliminated because they can't retreat. Alright. So, and we can advance into that hex as well, which I will with them. Now, we have... What did I throw? I've forgotten what I threw into that combat. Hey, this is where all my leaders are. There's Wellington as well. I think I have 2 to 1 on here. 2 to 1. 6 is an AR result. So I will pull back, and the French will not advance. And that's it for the Anglo-Allied reaction. So they've opened the gap a bit. 1, 2. It was down to what, 4 hexes at one stage? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. End of the turn. We're heading to the 5 p.m. turn, straight to the French turn. They're having much more success here with Reyes Corps out on the left. D'Erlon's Corps has suffered a lot of casualties. Reyes Corps still hasn't suffered a brigade loss. Whereas D'Erlon has suffered one. Oh no, there is one, sorry. Reyes Corps has suffered one. Their strong brigade lost. Okay. The problem for the Allies is there's nice, there's artillery and artillery. There's a big soft gap in here that the French might be able to really drive into. And if they can use their artillery carefully here, and the Prussians are getting closer. 5 p.m. 4 turns left. Okay. You can see the chateau looking more and more exposed, but still the guards are reluctant to attack. I like the idea of pushing into here, so you can move into this hex and then move into potentially both of these hexes. That's Clinton by himself. Let's just move him to... Again, leaders do nothing. They're just really for, I guess, thematic flavour in these battle scenarios. I can push into here. That's in a town, so they'll be doubled to 4. Forgot about that. They'll still be at 2. Oh, I can even push into there. Time for the French to really take some risks. Or keep pushing it along this front here. It's a strong hex with a defense of 10, which I have to attack. That's only 5 there. I've got to attack this. I've got 12. 3 more there would help. So let's go. Let's go and do something. I've got to bring up this guard's artillery. 6 strength points that are just sitting around doing nothing. And there's more at the back. Napoleon flipping around. Artillery here. I'm going to start bringing the guards in because it's time to, really start pushing everywhere. Guards can soak off the chateaus, I think is the idea. The artillery will soak off the requirements to attack those chateaus. So we'll keep them focused on Hougoumont and La Haye Sainte, the artillery, whilst we move the infantry in to hit. 1, 2, 3, and we'll see what happens. I will keep that infantry. I can't see what they are because I can't pick them up. 5. Yeah, I'll keep them just in the centre there between the artillery. We have a defence here of 6. I wouldn't mind getting that artillery just to bombard to give me 2 to 1. 1, 2, 3. Attack there. That'll give me 2. Oh no, yep, 2 to 1 odds on that hex. I'll then shift this artillery. I'll leave them there for now. These guys. Will come in. come into there and get 2-to-1 odds on there. Won't need to attack the chateau because of the artillery soaking that requirement off. So we'll be attacking here as well. We will have to attack there so they can't move. I would love to get a unit in here. 1, 2, just to block, potentially block that zone of control, which is just contained, just kind of strangling these allied units in the front. They can't move. I'll use that artillery here to attacking there. They're supporting that attack. They'll support that attack. It's hard to get a sense of how these units are being used. No, they are supporting that attack, aren't they? So 10. No, well, they have 12, 3-to-1. They'll support that attack. Doesn't really matter, I guess, who supports who. At best 2-to-1, really. And then I'm kind of running out of formations out here. They'll have 4, so I want to get 8. Oops. I'd like to get 8 strength points. So I can go 1, 2, 3, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then don't flip them over. We'll move in. These aren't cavalry, yet they're infantry. They can attack out of the woods without penalty, and we'll attack. There'll be 1-to-1 on there. We'll see what happens. So pressure on that left flank. I've frozen again. Yeah, I'm sorry about this. I don't know what's been going on with this camera lately. But I can't just restart the software. I have to kind of restart the whole device. So black screen, let me give you some commentary. Raya pushing hard on the left. The black screen kind of reflects the darkness coming. The French have 4 turns left to inflict a lot of casualties on these allies. So they've kind of spent the first 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 turns getting into a position to surround the Anglo-Allied forces with those zones of control. Now they're in that position, they're throwing everything into the line. I think they're in a better position than the British, but it now becomes kind of, I guess it's a race against time. With 4 turns left, they've got 4 turns to inflict pretty much as many casualties as they've inflicted in 6 turns. That's the thing. Okay. I should have this camera working again. One moment. Alright, got it working again. We're back in 10 seconds. Alright, should be good. Should be good to go. Here we go. So moved up here on the flank. Yeah, that'll be 1-to-1 odds. That'll be, what did I say that was? That'll be 3-to-1 odds out in the open there. Let's see what happens. And yeah, okay, the cavalry out here. And I haven't moved the right flank at all. So a lot to do out here. We are sitting on 3-to-1 against that cavalry. They have a strength of 4. I've got artillery with a strength of 4. If I can hit this unit, that again reduces the gap to just 2 hexes. So what can I bring in here? Okay. And where do I want to hit? I think I'm going to tighten the noose around here. So this is still a big stack, I think, of 7. Yeah, so that's going to be hard to hit. So this is that's the hex I want to soak off. If I can soak off that hex as well, I could potentially hit the line. Maybe I just hit these 2 hexes here, ignore these guys. Yep, I think that's the plan. So I do want to send out some infantry to watch that. They'll come in. I'll push in there, they'll push in there. Artillery coming in to soak off that. Everything else is going to be in the attack. Yeah. I could even get 1, 2, 3. I could push them in there because they'll be soaked off as well. So if I go, and that could potentially give me 10. 2-to-1 combat. No, I can't. And that artillery there is in a bad place. So I'm going to shift them around. 1, 2, because there's a ridge there. Got to watch those ridges. I keep missing them. I will just push those guys. Up a little bit, because if they move in there, they'll have to attack Uxbridge. Yeah. Further up the line, I'm going to start pulling back some of this French cavalry somewhere. So below we'll go 1, 2, 3. 1, 2. Guards will have to attack. They'll have to attack. And oh geez, okay. So now we've got. Sorry about that. This French cavalry moving around here. So I've got to come and block them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Just pulling that screen back a little bit. Try and slow them down. You can see this Prussian force now coming out in strength. Nothing happening at Wavre. The French will just pull back a little bit. I'll keep it off camera. 1, 2, 3, 4. Pull back behind the Dal River, because that's more of a risk to their chances of victory here. Now we have combat. As I said, 1-to-1 here. Roll of 4 is an attack or retreat, not a problem. We have 2-to-1, 3-to-1 here. 3-to-1 there. A 1 will be a defender retreat, and we will push in there. Now let me think carefully, because the order of things could be important. Okay, so we're attacking the chateau to soak off the requirements there. attacking the chateau to soak off the requirements there. These guys have their retreat path blocked. That's a low odds combat, so low chance of success. I guess where do I want to attack first? 2 to 1 there. Push in there. That will block the retreat of these units. 2 to 1. Yeah, let's do that. So 2 to 1 on the artillery here. 2 to 1, 1 is a DR result. So they go back 1. And I can advance 1, giving me a good... Alright, so what that does now is I have zone of control here, which means that these guys can still retreat. Sorry, they can retreat. No, that will displace those units. Okay. So now so this artillery soaking off the combat here. So now I'll send 12 on 3, 4 to 1. 4 to 1 is pretty much guaranteed. So let's see what we get. 4 to 1, 6 is an exchange result. So they lose 3. Brunswickers lose that. I lose 3, at least 3, but I can advance into there now. And there you go. We have surrounded all those forces. Oh, okay, so now we have got a huge odds combat here. We have got 10, 16. Oh, geez, I should have thrown some more artillery into there. 6 to 1, a roll of 3 is a defender eliminated. They're gone. And we can advance into there as well. Alright, we've almost, there's only one space in there which doesn't have French zone of control. So all these allied forces are now in trouble. Any retreats, someone dies. Okay, so we've got, what did I say, 10... I cannot pick up that counter. 12 on 10. 12. It's 1 to 1. I don't like the chances of that attack going well. I've got to have 1 to 1 there. 12. One to 1. There's a lot of low odds combats over here on the left, unfortunately. And these are basically 50-50 chances. So let's try from the left flank and see what happens first. 12 on 10 with no artillery. 1 to 1 odds. Need a low die roll. We have it. A defender retreat. Alright, so what happens now is one unit can retreat. We can move Somerset's cavalry there. These guys now, though, they can't displace any friendly forces into a safe space, so they are eliminated. And this is where you start to see that French strategy coming to fruition. This is what they've been trying to do all afternoon. Okay, low odds combats. Now we've got 1 to 1 here. Another low roll, 1, is a DR. Again, they have nowhere to retreat to. They are eliminated. And we can advance, but I'm not going to because that'll surround them. Now over here we have 12, 18, 3 to 1. 3 to 1, 3. Another DR result. They are also eliminated, okay? It's all happening. Just like that. And now we can advance. We'll send Reyes Corps, not those guys, into there. And over here we have got 8, 1 to 1 as well. A 5, 1 to 1, 5 is an AR result, so they have to pull back, which is probably not bad. Gets us away from Hougoumont. And we do have an attack over here, which was 12 on 5, 2 to 1. 2 to 1, 6 is an AR result, so they have to pull back anyway. But the damage is done. Yeah, that's what the French have been planning for 5 hours. 5 hours? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. into our 6th hour, and it's happened. So this Allied front, they hold the chateaus, but they have no retreat paths anymore. Well, they do actually have one now that these guys had to retreat. That's why I did this combat last. Right, so you can order the combat however you want. Now we've got some cavalry combat which you have to resolve out here. It's 1-to-1 out here. Somebody has to retreat, and it's a defender retreat. And 1-to-1 out. I think it's 1-to-1. 1-to-1 out there. Are they in town? No, they're halved actually. So that's 2. Yeah, 1-to-1. Cavalry attacking towards is halved. It's a defender retreat, so that is pulled back to there. And that's not too bad. That keeps that cavalry screen line intact. Whew. And nothing happening at Waterloo again. So we're just focusing all our attention on Waterloo. And basically, with the exception of the chateaus, all of the Allied forces here are locked in combat. They cannot move. They are all locked in zones of combat control. They cannot move. These guys are locked in. It's just, it's getting really tight and hard for anyone to move. And the Prussians, who had been trying to link up, now find themselves with a large cavalry division in the way. What are they going to try and do? I think they can't just push head on because the cavalry's retreat one space. The worst, unless they get sort of 4-to-1 odds and a good die roll, they're just pushing the cavalry back one space. So we really have to pushing the cavalry on these flanks up here, push them back to give me this road coming around. This is a bit of a futile effort out to the right here. So what I'm going to do with the Prussians, and I'm going to do the Prussians first for a change, is try to hit this unit here. This is 1, 2, 3, 4. They'll lend their support to that. 1, 2. Jeez. This is cavalry. They don't want to attack out of the woods. 1, 2. I think they have to. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, 2 to 1 attack there. Finally getting this 3, 4 second Prussian corps doing something. And they find their road blocked now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Force suppression, the French back at least. So yeah, you can see that Prussians are there. They're just not there. Oh, not there. There. there's Plains Noir. Options for the Anglo-Allied force are severely restricted now. Simply because, as I said, they can't move. So many of these forces, they can move these guys, they can move these guys, and they can move those guys. They're the only four areas that can move. And they've got to protect the flanks. Otherwise the cavalry can just come around. I think they have to attack. They've got to keep trying to push back, right? 5 defensive 5. They're in a town now, so that's going to be 10. Push back against. I mean, D'Erlin's corps is the weakest, so we can try to push back there. Got French cavalry here. We can't move from there. The best we can try to do is what? I think try to push back D'Erlin's corps from this flank. These seem to be the weakest unit. Race and the guards out here are strong. Let's try to do that. They've got a huge cavalry screen to deal with, Paul, yeah. Let me check Allied losses. They just lost a fair bit in that turn, so they're down to... Ooh. What are we on now? Sorry, there's a lot of units to count. 50, 54. Oh, jeez. They are 11 away. Oh, jeez. Very close. The French, in contrast, 20, 30, 37. They're just over halfway. And I think I'll keep the artillery here. They can support potentially 3 different combats. Okay, so let's see what we can do / have to do. So we have to, and we can move out of Hougoumont, but wherever we move, we're going to have to attack. I'm so reluctant to move out of these chateaus. You can feel that. Can you sense that reluctance? I feel as soon as I pull back, the guards are going to push straight through, and then it'll be really tough. So I want to hold them. I've pushed in a weak unit, a weaker brigade there. We've still got this strong brigade of Bing here. We've got 5 plus 6 is 11. 2 to 1 here. We have to do that. 2 to 1 6 is an attacker retreat. That's terrible because they can retreat there. They have no retreat path. That's another 6 losses. That brings them up to 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 62. And the French can advance. They don't have to. Maybe they want to. They do want to, because that will stop displacement. These guys now, 7 on 6 is 1 to 1. A 1 is a defender retreat. Okay, and they will advance because they need the breathing space. We have to attack here. 1 to 1. 1 to 1 4 is an attacker retreat. Now, luckily they had that breathing space. They have somewhere to retreat to, and the French will not advance. They don't need to. And then over here we've got a lot going on. We can have 1 to 1 here. That's a pretty safe combat. 1 to 1 5 is an attacker retreat. When I say safe, I mean there's no huge penalties for losing that. And then we can bring a lot of forces to bear around here. 10, 17, 21, 5 to 1 on them. 5 to 1 6 is an exchange result. So 4 French losses, more casualties for Erlon, and we'll take the Brunswickers because they are already in a bit of trouble. 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 66. That is, with that exchange result, that is disintegration. This considers, so 45 was the base demoralisation level. It's plus 10 if the Prussians attack Napoleon's army, which they've done, so it pushes that up to 55. It is another plus 10 for disintegration, which means that to disintegrate, the Allied army needs to suffer 65 step losses, and that exchange result pushes them up to 66. I will double, actually no, sorry, I've miscounted. I've put the unit in the wrong area. 64. We have 1. Did I take the wrong unit? No, I didn't. Yep. 64. I'm just going to double check these numbers. I've got piles of casualties. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 6. Yeah, I'm 1 short. 1 more Anglo-Allied casualty, and their army disintegrates. Napoleon is currently, his army is sitting on 10. 30, 41, so they're a long way from their demoralisation level. Okay, so that's I think all the was there a mandatory attack here? Have I satisfied that one as well? I can't recall. I've lost count. I think they did, didn't they? They pushed back that force. These guys, however, have a 1 to 1 attack to resolve. I don't think I've done that one. Or did I? No, I must have. Sorry, I can't recall. I honestly can't recall if I've done this combat. Let's align the British correctly. So Anglo-Allied forces. Sorry. Dutch Hanoverians. Yeah, I think we've satisfied all the combats here. There is a combat up here. I have pretty good 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 on 4. It's off camera. Sorry, up there. 2 to 1, unfortunately. It's not enough. 2 to 1, 1 though, we'll cause a DR result. Alright, so I can push them in there. Push that cavalry in, which... Hey, the Prussians have arrived. Just as the Allies reach their demoralisation level. 8, 9 to 11. 11 will give me 5 to 1 on that. 5 to 1, 4 is a DR result. Lock them in combat. And then we have 8 plus 5 is 13. 6 to 1. 6 to 1, 1 is a defender eliminated. Ooh, okay. Prussians get excited. They finally found a way through. And there's some French locked in combat here. We'll see what happens here. 1 to 2. I kind of 1 to 2. 3 is an attack or retreat result. And then we have 2. Oh, there. It's 1 to 1 because they're in a town. 1 to 1. 1 is a defender retreat result there. And we will advance there. Oops, that's off camera. Apologies. So they retreated there, but the French retreated here. Yeah, okay. That brings that Allied turn to an end. It is now the 1800 turn, so 6 PM. And they just need to inflict one more loss on the British Anglo-Allied force. Got to keep checking myself. And, well, what's left is still pretty strong. Hougoumont now completely isolated. I still don't want to attack it. There are pretty much no safe. Actually, that is a zone of, that is a safe zone. Oh, it's, the one safe zone of control is at stacking limit. It's the only hex that the Allies can potentially retreat to, and it's at stacking limit. So if they displace, they can't go anywhere, which means any retreats force the elimination of the unit. So we'll move in there and attack Maitland. There's a ridge around his units, which is frustrating, but I can move my artillery to there to give me... In fact, I don't need to bring all the artillery, just that big 6. I'll leave Mouton behind because he's not doing anything. Wellington here, with his big stack of 7, he's going to be tough to deal with. Can I get 14 on there? I don't think I can. 1, 2, 3, 4. If I do that and bring in that, that'll give me 14. That's 2 to 1. I will push in. What am I thinking here? Push in there with some artillery support. Pull back that cavalry to there. Start to pull these guys back. Off camera to the right, pulling back that cavalry screen a bit. A fair bit actually. 1, 2, 3, 4. And 1, 2, 3. Right, so just protecting that right flank. The Prussians are really pushing down far south. Alright, so the right flank is covered. We're getting an attack on Wellington's force here. We're getting an attack on Maitland here. We're getting an attack on... what can we do here? If I can attack this this artillery here and force its retreat, and then attack the cavalry here. So if I can get... That's going to have a strength of 4, so I need a 5. And I don't have a 5 laying around. So I can push them in, that's 6, and then bring up the artillery. That'll give me 8, 2 to 1. If I can force their retreat, move in, then force their retreat, they'll be eliminated as well. But I just need one elimination from one of these combats. I've got 16 here, 16. I can soak off, how do I, there's so many little intricate ridges running through here, crests, that it's hard to kind of see where I can attack. If I just smash Somerset, surely, that's enough. I will move into there to lend support to that combat. Yeah, and I think we'll see how we go. So this could be the last combat round. And we just need one more elimination. So, 2 to 1 on the artillery here. 2 to 1, 2 causes a DR result. They have to retreat there. I will advance into there. That cuts off Wellington's retreat. He can't go anywhere now. He's in trouble. The, 8 to 4, 2 to 1 attack there is a 6. 2 to 1, 6 is an AR result. Not great. I have 2 to 1 there as well. 2 to 1, 5 is an AR result. British fighting back. Now, big attack on Wellington. So they've got 7, I've got 14, so 2 to 1 here. 2 to 1, 1 DR result. They all disappear. And that is victory for the French. Demoralization. Yeah. So that's how you basically use the rules of this particularly light title to secure a French victory. They need to surround forces, and it's the same, similar with the Library of Napoleonic Battles, OSG. It's kind of the evolution of Kevin Zucker's designs over the years. This is a very, very early design from the 1970s. And as I said, the base rules are very, very easy, simple, lack detail, but it's really quick and fun. It's a very fast playing game. Does it reflect the kind of intricacies of the situation? No. But yeah, it is what it is. I think you've got to appreciate that this is a light introductory design, and it's very interesting. It's really interesting to see. You've got sort of some terrain features, the chateaus, and as I said, if I would have gone head on, if I would have adhered to that historical strategy, you probably would have gotten some. You're basically relying on lucky die rolls to see what happens. And the French, thinking of the French strategy, I didn't want to rely on those lucky die rolls. I wanted to see, what happened if I went elsewhere, basically. So there's a few combats left, but these guys have nowhere to go. So even in an AR result, they're still kind of surrounded in that pocket. So yeah, game, set, match. The Prussians, well, they've made contact. I think their failure to reach the battlefield was critical. And again, the French pushed way out. The French pushed way out to here. This is almost halfway to Waterloo. Right, so the French cavalry rushed out along these trails and screened the Prussians, just slowed them down so much. It denied French the use of their cavalry around Waterloo, so there was a disadvantage there. As a result, the Erlon's Corps suffered some heavy casualties. The Erlon's Corps has suffered 5, there's not much left. They've only got 2 brigades left on the field. So they're broken, and I think in the campaign rules there may be rules for yeah, there are. I'm pretty sure that you track the demoralization levels for each corps. So I've got it written down on my sheet from when I played the campaign, and each corps is tracked individually. I think a corps can break from memory. I'm really going off memory. Demoralisation, core, so core become demoralised. Units and officers which demoralised pay 2 movement points. It affects their reorganisation, all that kind of stuff. So yeah, were this the full campaign, it would have played out very, very differently. Interesting to see Wavra so quiet. Like this is, as I said, this was the implementation of the Waterloo first strategy. What happens if Napoleon just focused everything on Waterloo and even brought some of Grouchy's corps over to help with that? There's a lot of sort of qualifications here. With the advanced rules, it add a bit more detail, but the fun factor is huge with this game. Yeah, look, it's really interesting. Bringing those, basically you're counting factors, you're looking for situations, you're looking to surround with zones of control. It's that kind of really interesting, focused situation. Small kind of map area, great for introducing people to wargaming, and a good introduction. If you kind of like the looks of this but would like a bit more detail, check out Kevin Zucker's Library of Napoleonic Battles, the Operational Studies Group. They're amazing titles. I've got I think just one playthrough from an old design that I had, not an old design, the Coming Storm. I played some others as well. I played Jena Alstat, I think. And it adds a lot of extra detail. It adds, well, you have those command features in the battle scenarios as well. Hey Jeff, what was the Russian-Austrian fight? Not to mention Blucher's Prussians. Yeah, well look, not only have they broken the Anglo-Allied force, but they've let's imagine history. I mean, what's going to happen to all these guys in the pocket? They have no retreat path here. Wellington, captured here. There are no commanders left outside. Uxbridge is here. There's a big pile of leaders off to the side. Having said that, the Prussians look very strong. But if I were Wellington in captivity, I'd be pretty angry at Blucher and von Bülow for not coming to his aid. Blucher promised and he just didn't show up in time. He spent too much time... I don't know how to get around that cavalry. It was a very effective French cavalry screen. And they tried to bypass them. The French just spread out. They tried to smash them head on. The French just pulled back. I think it's fair to say the French, utilised or exploited the rules of this battle scenario better than the Allies did. What could the Allies have done better? Abandon the chateaus. I mean, I've been tossing that up all game. Should I abandon them? Should I just pull back away? My concern was, like I said, these two chateaux held the front. They still hold, and they stopped the French from pushing straight down. My concern was, as soon as they pull back, it's open ground, and it would have been, the guards could have pushed through. There's still most of the guards are uncommitted. These guys have just committed at the end here. Once these, 6 artillery, once they get into combat, 5 infantry strength there's 12 there. Once they get into combat, it's an extra 20, 30 strength points that the French can use in combat, smash them head on. And the chateau did the job of deterring the French and stopping them using the guard and attacking down that centre. Instead, they used de Erlon and Reyes Corps to do the job the hard way. Look, I think there's clearly replayability in these small battle scenarios. What if I did it again and withdrew from the chateau? That would be interesting to check it out. If you think that would have been a more effective Allied strategy, let me know. This game is pretty common in its various iterations. It's been published, as I said, there's a new iteration of it. I think Decision Games published it Napoleon's Last Battles. Check it out if it's of interest. The campaign adds a lot. I keep saying that, I'm sorry. I just really want to reiterate. But yeah, and it's Waterloo was sold separately as the sort of folio title many years ago. It was, the quad, the 4 battles. So you should be able to find this on the second-hand market very, very cheap. And yeah, as I keep saying, it's a great pathway to that library of Napoleonic battle. So if you like the looks of that Kevin Zucker's games, I'd recommend kind of starting with this, dipping your toes in the water, getting the handle on sort of brigade level rules. Start with the simple battles and move up to the campaign, and then dive into sort of the more detail of OSG. And yeah, Paul's pointing out that the guard kept the tough screen, and even Mouton's core were in the centre as well, just in front of LaHaye Saint. So I thought, I was thinking as a British player, I didn't sort of speak out loud about it, but can the British counterattack down the centre? And I really don't think they could. If they would have pushed down south, it would have just further stretched out their flanks and I think accelerated their loss. So yeah, there you go, folks. A French victory by virtue of the disintegration, not just the demoralisation, the disintegration of that Allied force, and it will only get worse over the coming turns if this battle were to continue. Yeah, thank you for watching, everyone. Check it out, Napoleon's Last Battles, Kevin Zucker design. Check out other designs by Kevin Zucker, and I'll catch you all later.